Hey folks, welcome to another live stream. Sorry there, we're using a bit of a different streaming software today, and we're filming on the iPhone again, iPhone 7 Plus, so it's quite a handy little thing to do these little live streams. But today I just wanted to dive into the world and to get your thoughts and impressions as well, mainly for photographers, but we'll cover other things as well, and that is Adobe. Adobe. Now, we know Photoshop, a lot of you know Lightroom, and all the other Adobe products and the Adobe CC plan and photo plan, video plan, and all the other plans that they do. My question really is, who's getting a little bit fed up with the Adobe plan and the subscription service? Now, do you think you're getting enough updates in your software for the amount of money you're paying every month? Or, like me, is it annoying the hell out of you a little bit the way the Adobe system is working in terms of taking your money, in terms of all your Adobe CC plans for what you need? Now, I know there's no right or wrong way, and I know every user, whether you're a bigger business or a smaller business or a solo photographer, has a different purpose and a different need for the way they use the Adobe software in their photography, video and audio world, if you want to put it like that. But over the years, you know, I've seen less and less updates in the CC subscription service and less benefit of the updates than I used to see when we used to buy the program outright and then you pay your upgrade fee. You know, it used to work that if you bought one version of Adobe in a year's time, you'd get sort of the version 0.5 in addition to that, and then every 2 years you used to get like a big full upgrade. Now, if you work out that if you already own the software, that if you pay for the little upgrades, you actually pay less over time than what we actually pay now in the CC subscription service. But it seems that now we actually get less of the upgrades than we used to, and Adobe are splitting every damn package down now so that you want to buy the complete Adobe suite. If you're a company, it's no biggie because it's just a tax write-off. Most businesses, it's fine, you can use it as a tax write-off. But you know, if you don't use the whole suite, then why should you pay the $58, $60, $70, $80 a month for the whole package if you don't use the whole package? And this is what I want to get into a little bit, and the gripe, and then also to talk about some of the alternatives that may be on offer for all of us photographers and video creators, both big and small, and what else is on offer in the market for us to use. So, first off, and this is me and my business model, yes, I use Photoshop. I don't really use Lightroom, never really have. I only used to use Lightroom for tethering to before, because I'm a Fujifilm shooter in a medium format world and things, and Capture One Pro would never link up with medium format, and now it does. So for me, I've always been a Capture One Pro user, even in the days of Canon and previous. So Capture One Pro is my route for photo raw capture and raw editing before I take it into any post-processing software like Photoshop, which we use day in, day out. But I'm seriously considering dropping my Adobe plan, because on the video side of things, for video creation, I don't use Adobe Premiere anymore. I use either DaVinci or Final Cut Pro, and DaVinci is absolutely free if you want to go that route for video creation. And what you get for that free version is 98% complete. So if you want the full studio version, it's about £249, thereabouts in UK pounds for the full system. You don't pay any other subscription fees. And DaVinci on the video side has got everything built in. You know, you've really got your audio suite built in, you've got your effects suite built in, you've got your all your other editing features, transitions and everything you need in there. I know it was originally a color grading tool, but it's a phenomenal package now, and you don't need separate programs to do all your bits and pieces. It's all within one program. You just switch between the tabs as you work, so it saves you going back out, you know, to Audition and back in if you're doing audio, and it saves you going back out to After Effects and back in, and it's all within DaVinci. So that's excellent. Final Cut Pro, obviously a really nice simple user interface if you want to bang things out quite quickly, especially YouTube stuff. But on the photographic side, it's like, well, what's available to us, apart from the raw editing software, capture software, like like Capture One Pro and things like that. And what do you guys use? What do you guys think? What do you guys think about the whole Adobe CC plan thing anyway? Because I know in the UK, and there's been a lot of uproar about this as well, in the UK, the photography plan where you get Photoshop and Lightroom is $9.99 a month. But I know the photo world has gone crazy at Adobe at the moment, because Adobe were posting some ads up when you logged into the App Store to update those apps, that the photo plan was coming out at $19.99. And that's like 100% increase. But we've come to realize that only some people got the $19.99 a month plan. Other people still got the $9.99 a month plan. So what's going on with Adobe? It turns out they're putting it out there for marketing purposes to see the response of the general consensus. And the general consensus is that the photo world went absolutely crazy at them for that. And I don't know where it's going from there on. But either way, it's unacceptable. Unacceptable. And going back to the price point. Now, I know if you're a big company or you have a lot of users and servers and databases and things, that the plan is going to be nothing. The monthly fee is going to be nothing. You pay more for more users and more subscriptions and whatever, but you're just going to it's a tax write-off. It's part of a business expense. Goes with the grain. For those of you that are just enthusiasts or amateurs, you don't want to be paying that month after month after month after month. Even though you want to use it, you don't want to be paying it. So, if we look at that and we look at the system, I mean, I've been looking into Affinity Photo because, like I say, on the Adobe stuff, I've dropped Premiere. Don't use Premiere. I do still dabble a little bit with Audition, but on the audio side, especially for our podcasting and things, we use Logic Pro quite a bit. And, you've got many other things on the audio side. I mean, Logic Pro, you pay a small amount for. GarageBand, if you're a Mac user, it's absolutely free. PC users, if you want a free tool, you've got Audacity, and then you've got other audio programs like Pro Tools and Reaper, and there's more and more. But when it comes to that, Audition's nice. It's got some nice things in it. The user interface still looks a bit old and antiquated. Logic Pro on the Mac side of things, it's only Mac only. It's a nicer user interface. So on the audio side, I've kind of almost dropped Audition to a degree. And again, you've got to pay extra for that on top of your photo plan anyway, because it's not part of it. And this is one of the annoying things I find with Adobe. It's like, take this for example. If you've got the photo plan and you've got Photoshop and Lightroom, and you go, actually, I want to start doing some video, I might just put Adobe Premiere. Can I just add that as a bolt-on onto my plan? Adobe, like, yeah, of course you can. An extra $19.99 a month. It's like, hold on a minute. So I'm getting Photoshop for all my photo editing, and I'm getting Lightroom for my photo capture and raw editing, and cataloging for $9.99 a month, 2 programs. And I want to bolt on one more just to do a little bit of video. And you want to charge me an extra $19.99 a month on top of my $9.99 a month plan. £30 a month for 3 pieces. It's crazy. Why is it so much money? Adobe, why is it so much money? So I don't use Adobe Premiere anyway now. We've come away from it. So already that's if you don't buy the whole package, which we had, and we don't use a lot of the things in there, so it was pointless having all of those in there. I'm not paying all that money every month for nothing. So we got rid of the Adobe Premiere. So that's that £20 a month extra gone as a bolt-on. And we use DaVinci. Yes, we've got the full package, and yes, we still use Final Cut Pro. But overall, the price of DaVinci, even for the studio version at $249, is 1 year's CC subscription just for Premiere alone, just about. Now, on the Photoshop side of things, we got to look at the alternatives. So I know Affinity Photo is probably one of the bigger ones out there that is as close to Photoshop as you can get. Now, not saying that that's the next best thing. I'm not saying it's the best thing. I've not really used it yet. I know the interface is very similar. The hotkeys are very similar. It's just some of the menu systems and the way it pulls things in, and the way it titles things. Macros is what we use. In Affinity Pro they call macros, where in Photoshop we call it actions. So it's just learning those differences. I've not used it enough to really get hands-on with it yet. I'm just kind of dabbling in there to have a look. So if you guys are using it, or there's any of you out there that are, you know, full-on commercial photographers that have jumped ship to Affinity Photo, because it's been built from the ground up, it's not been built on old architecture like Photoshop has always been increased on old architecture. And if you're having success with that, let us know. Any problems you're having, I'd love to see your comments and the feedback, because I don't have the experience in it yet, and I haven't completely jumped ship yet. But I am seriously thinking about saying goodbye to Adobe, because it's a modern world and they've had domination for a long time. But there's a lot of healthy, efficient competition on the market at the moment. A lot of it, you know, Affinity Photo. If you guys want that, it's what, £49 a month? Was it £49 a month? £49 a month. No £49 to buy it. There is no subscription fees. Get that information right. £49, and it's yours. No subscription fees. So that's great. In less than 6 months, you've kind of paid for it all. On the raw capture side, I use Capture One Pro anyway, so it's my thing, and yes, I do pay that. So take that into account. But either way, it's still less money. Now, if you didn't want to pay for video editing software, you got DaVinci, which is free. Now, I'm sure there's plenty more out there, depending on how serious you are and what you're doing. So you don't have to pay for that. But let's look at it the other way around as well. It's like how these pieces of software utilize your computer systems. Now, why am I talking about this part of it? Well, for a start, Adobe are now cutting back on the previous versions of software that you can now put on your systems. So what's Photoshop on? Current version 20 something? 19, 20, something thereabouts. And you know, depending on the age of your system and your processor and your spec, you know, if updating to the current one, it was slowing your system down too much because your processor, your accelerator, and your graphics card weren't up to it, you could go back and put the latest, you know, put the previous 18, 18.5, 18, 17.5, 17, 16. Now what Adobe are doing, they're limiting that as well. So those of you that don't have new computer systems, where does that leave you? If the newer upgrades are not running fast enough or causing your computer system problems, what does that mean for you now? You've now got to pay your monthly subscription, and then what? Go and buy a new computer as well, just to make it compatible to the latest app? Which will cost you, a ton more money. A ton more money. I don't know who's putting these ideas into Adobe at the moment, and this price increase and marketing test plan and that, but man, that person needs to be fired. I mean, if anything, Adobe should be lowering their pricing structure, because there is so much more healthy competition on the market available to all of us photo, image and video creators. So much more stuff out there for us, and good stuff as well. So Adobe, you're going the wrong way. You're not giving us enough in terms of updates and enough distance in the updates of quality to warrant all these prospective price changes and testing the market, as you like to call it. I think they're trying to sneak it in under the radar, but that's just me talking out loud. So, you take Photoshop and Affinity Photo. We've done a little test here this morning. Now, if I just look at Photoshop in the first place, it may be because it's got more in it. It may just be because it's got more old stuff in it that Adobe can't remove, because it'll cost them so much money to remove the old stuff. And some of the old tools that nobody really uses anymore, they just leave it in there and leave it there. They've already said that. It costs them too much money to remove the old tools because they're linked everywhere in the coding. But look at the file size that the Adobe Photoshop only, the Photoshop app takes up on your hard drive. 2.4 gigabytes, 2.4 gigs of space for Photoshop. Affinity Photo, we've looked at this morning, 1.09 gigs. And this is an interesting thing as well. We did a little stopwatch test on this system behind me. It's an iMac i7. I think it's a 2016 model, maybe. I can't remember. But we opened Photoshop, and it took 8.7 seconds to open the Photoshop program. And this has got a Fusion drive in it as well, so it's not it has got part SSD in there. When we opened Affinity Photo, it took 2.3 seconds. 2.3, that's almost 4 times faster to open the app. So we thought, well, that's interesting. Let's open an image and see how long it takes to actually open images. So I've taken one I've exported from Capture One recently for retouch, and that is a medium format file. So it's a 16-bit TIFF, and that image size comes in at around 307 megabytes for one image, 307 meg file. Now, when we opened up in Photoshop, it took just over 5.6 seconds, so heading towards the 6-second mark. And I did the same image in Affinity Photo, 2.1 seconds. That's like 2.5 times faster just to open that even. So you got a question, it's like, what's going on here? Because, you know, if you do like a sort of some of the features that I've tested in Affinity today, and I forget what they call it now, it's like not a clone stamp tool, but you can pull a brush, and can you remember what it's called? In painting or something? It's called in painting. It's basically where you can clone out objects in your scene, and you know, I just brushed over that and it literally just removed the whole thing from the scene and rebuilt the background back in. And in all fairness, without any refinement, I hit that pretty heavy-handed with just a standard brush. It removed the object and painted the background in pretty much perfectly. So that feature alone really impressed me, because I know Photoshop doesn't do it as good as that. And we went overboard, and I had one of my model shots, and I literally just painted all around the lips, you know, all around it, and thinking, will it remove lips from a face? I mean, it was a big shot. And it took what? The first pass was really impressive. It just replaced all the skin behind it, and all the colour and tone and edging all matched in with the original face. So now I've got a model with no lips, with just pure skin across, and we did about 3 little brush swipes to get some creases out, and it was almost 100% there, and that kind of sort of blew me away, really. It's like, wow, how easy was that? Opens up a whole new realm of simplicity. So we got to look at the way these algorithms are working in the other systems, and it was impressive. So it's like, well, damn, do I need to be paying? Because I don't use Lightroom, so do I need to be paying £9.99 a month for Photoshop? You know, do I need it? Where I can see the downside being is if you've got a lot of actions and templates and everything built into Photoshop, if you've got an action list that you use as part of your processing formats, I'm not sure, I don't have the knowledge base to know whether you can actually import those into Affinity Photo and those actions will work in there. A bit more research needed. If any of you guys know, let me know, because that'd be quite handy. It'll save me doing the research. But I do know Affinity Photo does open PSD files, so you're not going to lose any of your PSD files if you no longer subscribe to the Adobe CC plan, which is a good thing. So it means you can still open your stuff. So it says, haven't tested it yet. But there's so many options available, and over the years I've just been kind of getting a bit cheesed off with the lack of input from Adobe in terms of upgrades, but the lack of take from Adobe in terms of shifting it to subscription service, and you got to pay monthly for either a little bit with an expensive bolt on, or you got to have the whole damn package. And we haven't worked out how much actually hard drive space all the Adobe suite takes up on our system, have we? Which I'm thinking that if Photoshop alone is 2.4 gigs, then you know the rest of the Adobe suite is actually going to take up a massive chunk of my hard drive. Let me know your thoughts. What are you guys using? I mean, in Photoshop, you got some alternatives. Affinity Photo we just spoke about, which I seem to be really impressed with at the moment. I'm going to dive more into to see if it can be a way forward for me, you know, with a new approach. And I know for a fact already with Affinity Photo, you can take and edit raw images on iPads as well. So it is fully compatible with iPads with the full editing suite. And I've heard a couple of people using it on the move, and they're really happy with it, even raw files. So that's cool. What other options have you got? You've got other things like Sketch, GIMP, Luminar, Pixelmator, On One. Those are other options for Photoshop. If you guys are using anything more, let me know what your Photoshop alternative is. I'm just really interested to see. Also want to know your opinions. Are you a bit hacked off with Adobe as well at the moment? Are you hacked off with paying out every damn month? Because by the time you add that package price up, when you look at the alternatives where you do a buy one-off fee, man, we worked out it's considerably more money that you're either using or throwing away. Granted, if your business is and you just swallow the costs, tax write-off, doesn't matter, it's not going to apply to you. Yes, we write it off as a business expense, But I'm all for moving forward, you know, all for moving forward. If there's other things out there that are going to be more beneficial for me, and I know it's only little increments, put a bit more money back in my pocket, and it's sufficient enough to do the job, which Affinity Photo seems to be, and it's the only one I've looked at, then why wouldn't we consider it? You know, we all consider buying new cameras with new sensors when they come out, to try and update our systems and update our hardware. So why wouldn't we update our software? Doesn't necessarily mean it has to be the same brand if there's a competitor out there that can offer similar or better or nearly the same. Interested to see what you guys think about it all, and tell me what you're using for video. What are you guys using for video? Are you tied into Adobe Premiere? Obviously we're going to have a wide range of skill sets here. Are you using free video editing software? You don't need anything more? Just let in the comments below, post me your feedback. Is the Adobe price plan hacking you off too? Do you look at it every month and go, why am I even paying for that? Enthusiasts, amateurs, if you guys are using Photoshop and everything else, are you fed up with paying a price if you're not actually earning any money from, you know, from your business and it's a hobby? Are you happy to pay a monthly cost for that? Or would you just rather buy the damn piece of software outright and you don't really have the need for all the future upgrades that they're giving in tiny amounts because you don't have the skill set to operate the software to that extent anyway? Which, you know, we all know photo editing software does a lot more than we all actually do with them half the time. We only use some of the tools, not all of the tools. So that's my way forward really. Are we moving to a stage where we are going to be Adobe CC price plan subscription free? We're almost there. We're almost there. It's only Photoshop really that's keeping us 100% held on. Audition a little bit we do kind of use, but we use Logic Pro for the main recording and stuff anyway, so just because the interface is easier and more visually pleasing and simpler to see. Your thoughts, let me know your thoughts.
There's a comment from Paul Saxby.
Paul Saxby, yeah, hi Paul, thanks, welcome to the unannounced live stream. We seem to be doing a lot of these at the moment, unannounced.
He says, I sacked off Adobe products last year. Now I use Capture One Pro, Photo Mechanic and DaVinci Resolve. Don't miss Adobe at all.
Fair play. Fair play. And well, there's a prime example already in our feed. Paul Saxby, thanks for that live comment. Thanks for joining us as well. So straight away, there's another user that sacked off Adobe over a year ago. Yeah. If Paul's still listening, does he use the DaVinci Resolve free version or the studio version? Because the free version is like 98% complete. For those people that aren't full videographers or moving image makers, they probably wouldn't notice the difference, in all fairness. If you're still listening, let us know which one you're using. Are you taking advantage of 98% complete DaVinci for no fee and saving even more money from the Adobe plan? And that would be cool to know. And also, not just on the Photoshop, I know this is photographers and video creators, but you know, audio guys, podcast guys, anyone doing that, are you using Mac users? You're probably taking advantage of a lot of free stuff, but what are you using on the audio? I mean, you know, mainly we're talking, you know, Adobe Premiere and anything video, swap over, Photoshop and its alternative, and Audition and the alternatives. They're sort of the mainstream things. I'd be really interested to see what other people are using in that respect. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Any other comments?
There isn't at the moment.
No, has Paul come back to us yet?
He hasn't at the moment.
No, okay. Well, maybe Paul's comment will come up when this live stream goes out as a recorded session anyway. But yeah, it's just getting my head around the Adobe thing, and it's been winding me up for a long time. And when you go through the customer services, and this is the thing, actually, let's just go back on that. You know, I tried to cancel just the Adobe Premiere section of my subscription service because we were using DaVinci. And if you try to cancel online, they try and charge you for it. They charge you a cancellation fee, which was, I can't remember how many months it was. Did it work out about 6 months or something?
Yeah, it's basically half your plan.
Half your plan, which just got my back up. They got my hairs up on the back of my neck. Something rotten. It's like the cheek of it, you know, to cancel that. So then I got online with a live chat. Oh no, I actually phoned them. Got through eventually to a non-UK based call center. Nice one, Adobe. You have all the money you make. You're still cheaping it on call centers. Spoke to somebody that couldn't really, let's just say English wasn't his first language. And said about cancellation. He tried installing, yes, there's a cancellation fee. And I just went on a rant, saying there is no way I'm paying a cancellation fee, and I don't know why Adobe have got the cheek to do it. As soon as you start building up a rant, they'll quite happily waive the fee for you quite quickly. So if you cancel online, you speak to nobody, you'll get charged a cancellation fee. If you get on the blower and have a good go at them, they'll waive the fee out of a gesture of goodwill, as they call it. But I believe if you go in live chat, you'll probably also get that fee waived as well. But Adobe, where are you getting off? Like, you know, you're making so much money, but I can't see you putting it back into your software for us end users with the upgrade you're doing. Not a lot. If it is, man, it's so slow. But the cheek of it, yeah, having to charge you a cancellation, even though I still got the photo plan, they still wanted me to charge me a cancellation fee for quitting Premiere. The balls. Man, they got some kahunas. Needless to say, I cancelled Premiere with no charges, and we happily carry on with DaVinci and Final Cut Pro. Not missing Premiere at all, not missing it. It is very power hungry on the GPU, so we've seen similar operations with 4K film footage in DaVinci and Final Cut without 50% drain on the CPU and GPU of the computer systems. They don't struggle as much, so that for me is a godsend as well. But hey, thanks for listening. I know this is a bit of just a general topic of conversation. Just want to see what you guys are using, what your thoughts are on the Adobe CC plan. If you had the option, if Adobe put it on the table and said you could just buy the piece of software that you wanted and pay for decent upgrades like they used to do every 1 year, 2 years, would you go back to that? Would you go back to paying for it and paying the upgrade fees and then choose to upgrade if you wanted to? If the new features did interest you, you wouldn't probably upgrade. So would you go that route, or would you go the CC route and keep on paying out that cash? Let me know. I'd love to see some more of your feedback in the comments below. And once again, thanks for listening. Kind of a bit of a rant and a bit of a software rant, but yeah, tune in. I look forward to seeing what you guys are using and what you're doing. If you've got alternatives, what you find better, or a good alternative for your business. That's about it, guys. It's a live stream. So thanks for joining us, and we will catch you on the next one.